We are talking about the Oregon Ducks right now. Dan Lanning at Big Ten Media Day. And, I heard something yesterday from Harris in my car driving home, as I do usually.
Yes.
The firm. And I thought it interesting. Harris was asking, is this a defensive-minded first team now? Was kind of what he was saying. And
I was listening to the boys this morning.
Yeah. As he does. As you should. And he had said something to that effect, is it defense first? And look, defense was good. There are a lot of question marks on defense, but I think people are optimistic about the defense. As long as Lanning is there with Tosh, Lapoy, I think people are going to trust it. But I do think, not Oregon fans, because they'll tout all the numbers, I do think the offense gets grossly under talked about in a certain extent. Like, it's been one of the better offenses in college football. Yeah. Dan Lanning has not made that drop off. In fact, you could make an argument Dan Lanning has improved it. It's been electric. It's been exciting.
Significantly better than it was under Mario, that's for sure.
Right. And so, there's question marks at receiver. That's the big talking point, right? And quarterback, obviously, is a little bit of an uncertainty. But, like you mentioned the offensive line in the last segment, how many guys are coming back, how much experience they have. The running backs are good. We know Sadiq. We got a clip on Kenyon Sadiq from Dan Lanning about that.
Baby Brock Bowers.
Baby Brock Bowers, as they like to call him. For all those question marks at one or two positions, I just, why people don't trust it, I don't know. I think they've proven enough with Dillingham and now Stein to say, the offense isn't really a worry. You got into it a little bit with Danny off the air of – you weren't saying yesterday in my mind that, Oregon is now Georgia.
No.
You were just simply saying if you have question marks about guys leaving and being replaced and that following season gives you 10-2 and then it happens again and you get another 10-2 or better.
Right.
There is a trust factor of, I do have questions about it, but I'm not panicking about it.
There's new names and faces that you will learn and discover throughout the course of the season who are blue-chip recruits who have not played a whole lot yet.
And we know Oregon, this is where the sport's changed. Once upon a time, you lose that junior, senior that was amazing. Yeah, you'd go, well, I hope the next guy's ready.
There's no next guy waiting because you didn't recruit at that level,
Portal is such a big deal, and you still want a high school recruit, but you got the portal now, so, we're worried about running back a little bit. We lost Jordan James. Okay, let's go get a beast out of Tulane that nobody watched.
Right.
But we did, and he's good.
Right.
Offensive line, we have a hole. Great, let's go get a transfer kid. He's going to fit in just fine.
Yes.
I knew what you were saying yesterday. He was ribbing you about the title thing. I don't think it has anything to do with titles. It's just simply plug and play, and NIL and portal stuff has changed this dynamic. I'm not worried about the offense with Dan Lanning. It may not be as electric top end as last year's or Bo Nix.
Sure.
I still have faith it's going to be one of the better offenses in the conference.
I mean, I would argue last year their offense wasn't as good as it was the year before, and they still went 13-0 in the first year in the Big Ten. I think they executed at a higher level the season before. They just couldn't get over Washington twice when they played him, but the offense I thought was largely better. The argument that I was making yesterday that I firmly believe is you could go back and check everything anybody said about Oregon 12 months ago, and all the questions that were being asked 12 months ago are the same exact things that we're saying right now. Yeah, but how do you replace that guy? How do you replace that guy? But Troy Franklin's the best wide receiver in program history. Can you really replace him? Oh, look at Bucky Irving is a 1,000-yard back. Look how good he was year one in the NFL. Jackson Powers Johnson was the best center in all of college football. He won the Remington Award. How do you replace Brandon Dorlus? 4 years in Oregon. We did this up and down last year, and I know the quarterback position is maybe the difference this year because Dante Moore is unproven and Gabriel wasn't. Mm-hmm. My argument was simply, if they go out and have a 10-2 or 11-1 season this year, can we just remind ourselves next July that we don't need to do this every offseason, that they're recruiting at such a high level that you're just plugging in elite players for guys that are going to the NFL? And that's the level of program that you want to be at, that there's no down years, there's no swoons. Not every year is going to be 12-0 national championship. That's unrealistic even for Georgia. They haven't won one in a couple of years. They're still one of the best programs in the country. It just means you've gotten to a point from a talent acquisition standpoint where you're just plugging and playing every year and you're going to be one of the best programs in the country. And I firmly believe that Oregon is there. And I think there's a dozen names on this roster that if you don't follow Oregon football, by the time you get halfway through the season, you're going to say, oh my God, Elijah Rushing is maybe the most dominant defensive end that we've seen in a while. Or Kenyon Sadiq is probably the prime example of this. What option was Kenyon Sadiq in the offense last year? Go look at his total season-long numbers. It wasn't that impressive.
It wasn't that big of a season.
He came into the year, he was baby Brock
Yeah.
Bowers, and he was like the number 2 or 3 tight end.
Mhm.
But every analytical metric that points out, his blocking and his route running and his, what he does when he has the ball in his hands, he is going to be maybe the best tight end in the country this year, and I firmly believe that. And these are the kind of guys that you plug and play with because you've recruited at such a high level.
The funny thing about the thing you pointed to is when they lost Powers Johnson, that actually ended up being a problem against Idaho.
First 2 games of the year.
And Boise State were like,
everybody who had
hold
questions
on.
about the roster 2 games into the season said, see, I told you so. And then everybody sat down and shut up for 10 weeks until they lost to Ohio State.
So, like, even Alabama, right? And look, you can tout titles, certainly. To me, this is not I think both can be. You can say, oh, you don't have any national championship. Yeah, but like from a talent standpoint, Alabama last year was a disappointing 9-3, right? Lost to Oklahoma was bad. Lost to Vanderbilt. Unforgivable. That's their down year. So, like, barring massive multiple injuries, it's just hard because you got to go with the Jimmies and the Joes in that sport saying Oregon's going to be 8-4, 7-5. A hard time seeing that unless there's like 4 injuries.
I have a very hard time seeing that.
Right? So if their down year, quote unquote, is 9-3, you're proven right here. And that's kind of, I think, what your point was. Here was Dan Lanning on Kenyon Sadiq, who is coming in being touted as potentially the best tight end in America.
I actually told Kenyon on the way down that, yesterday was the first time I played it, but I played with my youngest son, Titan. We played the NCAA college football, and Sadiq went off, right? He balled out. So I need to make sure I bring that up to our quarterbacks, throw it to Kenyon, because he's been unbelievable this offseason. Like I said, if you just see him work, it's not a secret. I feel like he would tell you those are some of the traits that he learned from the guys that were ahead of him, whether that's Terrence Ferguson or Pat Herbert. But yeah, there is a chemistry being developed, and that's part of what fall camp's about, right? Our quarterbacks getting on the same page, as our tight ends, as our wideouts, as our backs, and just creating that rhythm. Our guys have worked really hard this summer, but Kenyon's going to be hard for people to deal with. He's a special player. I think he can be the best tight end in the nation. And when you have a great rhythm with your quarterbacks, being able to get the ball to them, that's going to be a special weapon for us.
What is the expectation, I guess, stats-wise for you with
through the roof? I didn't even know how to quantify it. Save this for when he has a disappointing year and we can all laugh about it in November.
Ferguson, by the way, last year,
I think he's going to blow them all out of the water.
43 catches, 591 yards, and 3 tutties.
Kenyon Sadiq last year had a total of 24 catches. He had 2 touchdowns, and they didn't come until the Big Ten championship game. He didn't score a touchdown.
He didn't burst on to anything
until the end of the year.
Yeah.
He save this for Old Takes Exposed, and we can laugh about it in November if I'm wrong.
Pull this. Ready?
Mark
Here
this
we go.
down.
Right.
He is going to be the best tight end in the country this year. He is, according to miles per hour, the fastest player on the team. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. That's at least what he's listed in the program, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's bigger than that. And he has a 41-inch vertical. He is physically as gifted a tight end as they have ever had in the history of that program. I think he is going to be the centerpiece of their entire offense, and it's one of the reasons why I'm not concerned about Dante Moore performing at a decently high level, because this is the kind of guy you can get the ball to, and he will dominate football games. He is a lock in my mind to be a first-round draft pick next year if he comes out, because I think the most untalked about thing about him when you look at his film and the grades on him from Pro Football Focus and other outlets is he is an elite run blocker as well. So it's not just that he's a physical freak hurdling guys in the middle of the field at 6'4", 250. He is an elite run blocker as well. He is going to be the best tight end in the country this year.
I'll add to it. They certainly talk about him as if they know, well, this is it for him. He's going to go on.
This is year 3 for him. He can leave for the NFL after this year if he wants to.
Well, they're not talking about him as if this is a 2-year situation. Yeah. They're like, hey, he's great. We're going to enjoy this as much as we can.
Guy's an absolute freak from Idaho Falls, Idaho. Of all the places to come from.
Off the radar,
Can you
man.
imagine playing this guy in high school football in
No,
Idaho?
I-
This isn't one of these guys from like a powerhouse in like L.A. or Dallas or like he's in Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Have you seen the highlights of Derrick Henry in high school? I can't imagine what that was like.
Just getting dominated by this cat, dude.